Hi everyone, thank you so much for tuning in today. If you like what we do here and you want us to continue to pump out this great content, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and also make sure to check out our new page. It's PrepZone.info. There you'll find all of our content in one place, and also all of our game reports and photo galleries from the sports and events we attend and cover. And before I head over to the podcast, I want to say a big thank you to our sponsors. Are you looking to buy or sell your home, or just curious about what the current real estate market is? Check out AlessandraDivinoHomes.com. Working with Alessandra is your key to succeeding in this current real estate market. And also, ASF Sports and Outdoors. ASF is our sponsor for the Student Athlete of the Month, and check them out. They are 1560 Post Road East, and their website is shopasf.com. Now, let's head over to the podcast. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the PrepZone Podcast. I'm your host, Steve Divino, and I have here with me today Coach Matt Bohn. How are you, Coach?
I'm doing great, Steve. I'm really excited to be on here. I love what you do for high school sports, especially Staples, and yeah, man, thrilled to be here.
Oh, no, it's such a pleasure. Before we get into it, I want to talk a little bit about Coach Bohn. So you've been the head coach of the Staples Records boys hockey team for 3 seasons, right? Or has it been more than that?
This will be my 5th season.
5th season with hockey.
Head coach.
With the football, it's been 3 years.
Yes, correct.
So you're the wide receivers and defensive backs coach.
Yeah, I help out Coach Maddie, and yeah, it's been great. They brought me on board 3 years ago, and I had a little bit of playing experience in high school, not a ton. So it was exciting to get in there and learn. Yeah. The second year I worked with the defensive linemen a little bit. But it's been nice working with Coach Maddie, Coach Barons, all those guys there, and it's a great group. And yeah, we had a heck of a year.
No, you certainly did. I mean, I was going to say, so you played football and ice hockey at Kenneth McMillan High School in Cannonsburg, PA. That's where you grew up as well.
Yeah, right outside of Pittsburgh, about 20 minutes. So, I'm Pittsburgh sports all day, and
it's fitting that you play hockey, right? From PA, you got to play hockey. Yeah. So you went on to play Division III ice hockey for the California University of PA Vulcans. So you helped them lead to a 2008 ACHA D3 National Championship. How cool was that?
It was incredible. I mean, ACHA hockey is club hockey, and it's even more competitive now than it was back then, and the game is just continuing to grow at the college level. So it's really great to see these ACHA programs, and even some kids from Staples have gone on to play some ACHA hockey. But yeah, when I played, it wasn't my plan to play going into college, but I found out they had a team. I decided to go to tryouts. Ended up making the team, and we from my freshman year there, we actually just had a really good group of guys and a really good core that we made it to nationals that first year, and since then, so it was that 4th year we kind of put it all together. We had a couple transfers come in, but we had an unbelievable season, and we had some guys that were playing at a whole nother level. I think we lost 1 game that season.
Wow, that's incredible.
And the game we lost was in a tournament in Michigan against the team we ended up playing in the semifinals, and beat them. And
so the club level, but it was still pretty intense. You guys are traveling, you're doing all this stuff with club?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we weren't traveling in style. We took, I think it was almost a 20-hour, maybe 15-hour bus ride to Michigan for this tournament we would participate every year in. We would come up here. I think the tournament has changed now. I don't know if they do it the same way, but we would come up to New York, Connecticut area and play. We'd play Albany, Farmingdale State always had a really good team. And then the next year they would come down and play at a neutral site near us. We would have a tournament. They would bring down a couple teams. We'd have a couple teams. So yeah, we got around a good bit. And nationals, when we made nationals, 1 year it was in Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Michigan, 1 year it was in Florida. So yeah.
I mean, that's really exciting. That's encouraging, because you would think, at least I always thought that club was more like you just kind of played in your own college, but it seems like you guys really had a robust program.
Yeah, we did. I mean, and the program's even bigger now. There's 2 teams. There's a top team that plays in the ACHA, and then like the second team plays in kind of a lower conference level. They don't necessarily play for nationals. And then there's a girls program, or a women's program, I should say. But we got around. We tried to schedule, tough games. We would scrimmage. We were D3, but we would play like WVU had a D1 team. Duquesne University had a D1 team that we would scrimmage, and those were really good competitive games as well.
That seems like it's really exciting. I mean, it's, again, like I said, very surprised for me to hear that.
Right.
But you are a special education teacher at Staples High School, and you're working on your master's in special education at the University of Hartford.
Correct.
And you reside in Reading, Connecticut, with your wife, Ginny, and your many animals. Talk about how many animals you guys have, and what are you guys? Cats, dogs? What is it?
So we have, we have a little farm dog. She's got a ton of energy. We have a cat who's a house cat, stays in the house. We recently just lost. We had a tree frog. He passed away.
Sorry to hear that.
He was like 15. I was like, this frog is going to live forever. But me and my wife, we're huge animal people. We also have like a little farm we started. We used to have ducks. We have 15, 16 chickens, a couple roosters. Wow. We have 9 goats. So we're trying to do a little homesteading here and there as well.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So I'm sorry, I have to go back. You said a frog was 15 years old.
Yeah. So
talk about having a frog that just fascinated me. You got to go into that a little bit.
Yeah. So when I met my wife, Ginny, who's actually, my connection to Staples is crazy. So I'm from Southwestern PA, from Pittsburgh, like you said. But my wife, Ginny, who I met in graduate school for writing at Chatham University in Pittsburgh, is from Westport, graduated from Staples, was in Players. So, her parents still live in Westport. So I have that kind of, this is my home away from home, and
a deep
connection here. Yeah. So anyways, when I met my wife, girlfriend at the time, in graduate school, she had all these frogs, and this one has just continued to live on as we've moved from Pittsburgh to New York City to Westport to Reading. He had quite a journey.
I'll bet, right? And what was his name?
Caliban.
All right, very cool. I'm sorry about Caliban. That's a great story. I mean, it's a good life. I mean, he traveled a lot, right? He lived a while, so I love that. So I want to talk a little bit about before we get into the hockey, about the football team.
Yeah.
You guys had an amazing season. We're recording this. You won the championship a few days ago.
Yeah.
And I know you worked with the offense and also defense, so defensive backs. And they just, all season I did interviews, they've always talked about as the unit that was so aggressive. They make so many plays. So talk about, how did you guys come into the season? How do you think it all went for you? Obviously great, but what was the mentality when you guys started this season to when you ended the season? How all that you saw it all play out?
Yeah. So, first off, it's just a great group of kids, who really had been through a lot, right? And we had some success the past couple of years, but really, at the end of the day, didn't get to where we wanted to get. So, going into this off season, the kids had a lot of drive, right? So the mentality was kind of to trust the process, right? To be engaged, to give that effort, and to kind of do whatever it took. And, Coach Matty, Coach Barons, the guys I worked with, that, and especially with the wide receivers and D-backs with Coach Matty, he's very detailed, right? So even in practices, we're really pushing the technique. And that's an area that I would really focus on, especially like we would split the groups up, and I would take maybe like the JV group, and Coach Matty would have like the varsity guys, and really kind of push the technique and just the mentality and being engaged and like caring about the small details. It can sound kind of cliche, but like those little details add up, and it's all about that stuff. I mean, we would, we go on ball movement, for example, for the receivers. So we would do drills, and we tried to make sure that we're always moving the ball and saying, hey, if you move on my voice or you don't, right, we're going to hold you guys accountable to that, right? And just those little baby steps and caring about those details and having the players buy into that, right? Because, there's a lot going on, and it's really easy to get focused on the end product, right? And looking too far ahead. So I think buying into the process and trusting the coaching staff and where, we were kind of leading the guys was huge coming in, especially early in the year.
Yeah, I think I look at the turnaround your program had from a 2-8 season to a state championship, right? I mean, like you said, the process started, and if you look it back, well, that was one of the worst season Staples ever had to the best it ever had. Right? I mean, you're number one in the polls. I mean, you lost one game, which, again, everybody's talking about was a 10-point game, but it was a 3-point game. You guys were driving to win that game. Yeah. So there was nothing. You were in every game. You won 12 out of the 13. So just an incredible season.
Yeah, incredible. And I wasn't here for that 2-8 season. So, I've kind of been spoiled. My first game was, and actually my first week being a part of the program was the Trumbull game with the pick 6. I mean, and Coach Matty looks at me, he goes, "Welcome to Staples football, brother." So
this is great. I get used to this.
Yeah,
right?
I said I could get used to this, man. So, it's just been like, a lot of time is put in off the field and the care to, the mental side of the game and that like neutral thinking, being able to deal with the adversity that you're going to hit no matter what, right? We talk about it in life. We talk about it in school. We talk about it in sports, right? So I think teaching those lessons and having the kids buy in and care about that stuff really showed, especially as the season went on and in that state championship game.
It certainly did. And like I've done quite a few podcasts with the guys. So I started with Coach Adam, did Caleb, Maddie, and Rossman, now you. And it's like everyone in that program talks about the mentality, right? And how you guys approach everything in life. And it has made an impact. I mean, I'm sure it's everybody who's listening, but also on me as well, of how you guys really, you focus, and that focus pays off.
Yeah. One thing that I did, when I first started, I noticed and I didn't have a ton to bring to the table in terms of like X's and O's or my experience in football. So one of the things I noticed early in my time was that we sometimes had a tough time focusing or would make silly mistakes sometimes, at least early in the season when I first got there. And I brought this idea to the coaching staff about working on visualization with the players. And, I couldn't believe how much not only the coaching staff, but the players bought into it, where I would, before every game, we would be in the locker room, the kid, we'd turn the lights off, and I would go through a 3 to 5 minute visualization with the kids about their breathing, about certain things that maybe Coach Matty had presented on, or Coach Barons, or Coach Connors would have talked about, Coach Philpott, where focus goes, energy flows is something that Coach Philpott always says. And
so I'm going to say that again, where what?
Where focus goes, energy flows.
Interesting.
So, whatever you're focused on, if you're distracted, that's where your energy is going to go, right? So little things like that. So I started doing these visualization things, and whether it was, and it was working on like tapping into your senses, right? And being able to see yourself being the best version of yourself or doing the right things at the right time, whether that was lining up the right way before the ball is snapped, whether that's just breathing after something didn't go your way and not getting too emotional, right? So being able to always come back to your breath and ground yourself is something we kind of talk about. And sometimes it was a little repetitive, but the boys really bought into it. They wanted it. There were times where we were in locker rooms that we couldn't figure out how to turn the lights off, and they were like kind of bummed about that, which I'm like, guys, you sure you want the lights off this time? They're like, yeah, we have to have the lights off. And just how much they cared about just this little 3 to 5 minute thing that we would do before games really showed all throughout.
It's fascinating to hear the backstory of everything, right?
Yeah.
It's always like, I mean, I think Coach Matty talked about the one time you guys couldn't practice and went to a gym where there's like almost no light, right? And how you talk. So it's all these. That's like, to me, it's great. This is stuff that you want to hear about, because you see the end result, but you never realize the process.
Yeah.
The process it didn't go from night to day, but like you just said.
Right. And there's a lot that goes into that process, and the process changes sometimes, right? You have to be able to evolve and adapt. And, I think, we've done a pretty good job of that.
Absolutely. So now, as you now shift from, hockey, which seems to be your main sport. So how's the team looking this year? What's the difference between, I guess, let's start with the team first.
Yeah.
So how's the team looking this year?
We're looking good. We had a really strong preseason. One thing that is really awesome this year, I met a lot in the offseason with our captains and our leadership group to kind of prepare for the season and kind of, prepare them for how they should be leading the team, right? I mean, I think any coach will say that, your best teams are going to be player-driven and not coach-driven. So this year, I really wanted to do a better job of working with my captains and my upperclassmen and kind of preparing them to be the best leaders that they can be. We have a really good group of guys. Our captains, Tyler DeMaio, all three seniors, Tyler DeMaio, Jacob Gomez, and Jamison Russell. And those guys have been horses for us. And they've been phenomenal on the ice in terms of like points and helping us win games. But they also, again, are doing the little things. They're the last guys off the ice helping clean up. They're picking up in the locker room. They're caring about those little details that a lot of people think don't matter, but they do, right? So it starts with those three guys, and they've done a heck of a job in the offseason, training, working out, preparing, and it's shown in the preseason. We're they're bigger, they're faster, they're stronger, right? And so I think we do have a strong core of guys returning, upperclassmen. But really in hockey, a big thing for us has been numbers. So we're a little low on numbers. So we have a lot of underclassmen, but it's a lot of opportunity for these guys to step up and get some varsity experience. So far it's been a great start to the year, and I'm feeling pretty positive about the direction we're headed in. Yeah,
it's tough. You mentioned numbers. I'm very close to the volleyball program, and we kind of running the same thing, right? Because it's like it's not an easy sport for. I mean, you guys practice off site. You're always taking them a tremendous amount of gear, right? I mean, to everything, always carrying those big bags, right? And now I did read that I think it was Tyler DeMaio is one of the top players in the conference, right? We'll talk about him a little bit.
Correct. Yeah, he was actually just put out there as one of the top 25 players to watch in the CIAC, so in the state. And he joined us his sophomore year. His sophomore year, he was our team MVP, and he's done nothing but factor in on the success we've had as a team. And he's really grown a lot too. He's grown as a player, but he's grown even more as a leader, and it's really shown. And one thing we talk about, or I talk about with my captains all the time, is bringing guys along with you, right? So like when we get new guys on the team or rookies or freshmen, because we're not always having freshmen, like a rookie could be a sophomore. We have a couple guys who are seniors this year who are rookies who haven't played, right? So we don't, it's nerve-wracking enough to join a new team, whether you're an underclassman or an upperclassman coming into an environment that you're not super familiar with.
Sure.
So, that old school mentality of like, rookie duties or things like that, we've gotten rid of. We want guys to come in and feel as comfortable as possible, right? They're already going to feel nervous. We don't want to beat the new guys down. We want them to feel a part of the team as much as possible because we need them. We need them right now. We don't need them in 3 years. We need them right now to be able to have some confidence and to be able to be in a position to be successful.
And contribute to the team's success.
Absolutely, 100%.
So now talk about your goaltender this year. I mean, goaltending in hockey is like, you get the win, you get the save. It's almost like a pitcher, right? So important.
Yeah.
So how are you set up for that this year?
So since I've been here, goaltending's always been not an issue in terms of talent. It's just an issue of, again, numbers. This is my first full season having 2 goaltenders.
Excellent.
Which is phenomenal. And the next best part of that is that they're both underclassmen. So we have our sophomore, Mason Mountain, who joined us halfway through the season last year and has a little bit of varsity experience, which is great. And Alistair Mukhtar, who is a freshman. And, Mason's a big kid. He played last year. He really put in the work in the off season. And he's going to start for us tomorrow night in our first season opener. And he's had a really good preseason. So we're looking at Mason to have a lot of opportunities this season to be our number 1 guy and kind of take over that role. And he's super excited about it and super confident. Alistair, he's come in, and as a freshman goalie at the varsity level, like, we don't have a freshman team. We don't have a JV team. You're varsity, my man, right? So
you're here, right? That's
you're
it.
here. You've
Right?
arrived, right? So he's done well, stepped up to that kind of toughness that it takes to play at the varsity level. He's shown a lot of good stuff in the preseason in terms of the scrimmages and the practices, his work ethic and kind of his engagement, his hockey IQ, right? So being able to have 2 goaltenders, especially for practices, has been huge for us this year so far. And super excited because these guys the potential for both of them is awesome.
Yeah. And I was looking, you mentioned goaltenders. You have a long season ahead of you.
Yeah.
It is like, I think you played until late February, early March, something like that, right?
But
because I was looking at all your schedule today. I was researching the game, see where we're going to be at. It's a long schedule.
It's a very long season. And that's the other part of it. Trying to make it through a whole season with 1 goaltender is tough. We've had to have players put on the gear.
Really?
And the guys that have done that in the past have done a phenomenal job, the best that they could do, right? And so we're finally, I think, we're trying to build the program more and more in terms of culture since I've been here, and working and coaching with the football team and being around the lacrosse team and all these other successful programs at Staples has been super influential to how we want to run this program.
And it helps. And now I want to you mentioned something that caught my attention a few minutes ago. You said that there is no freshman, no JV. In your opinion, and I'm asking this out, you can maybe have one or not, but does it help or hurt a player to go straight into a varsity, not having the time to develop at those, I guess, less pressure situations?
Yeah, I think there are pros and cons to it, right? You want to be able to develop kids and be able to put them in all kinds of situations in a JV scenario, right? Where everybody can touch the ice, everybody can eat minutes without kind of feeling that pressure of the varsity level. And you're able to break down the coaching a little more at that level. When I first started, we had more numbers and we would schedule like JV scrimmages. And there was like a JV league. But without the numbers, it's really tough because we really ran into a problem like during the whole COVID thing. And we didn't have a ton of numbers, but we had enough where it was like, okay, let's do some JV scrimmages, right? But I'd have to pull some varsity guys to play in those JV scrimmages. Now, with the COVID, people got sick. Now those kids that should be at varsity have to sit out because they were at JV or whatever. Maybe you get injured in a JV game. It's tough. And really how high school hockey works, and when I first started, I really would push freshmen to play what's their second year of bantam hockey for their club hockey team.
Club,
like
okay.
their travel hockey team, right? Because you can usually a freshman is at the age where they can still play another year of bantam hockey, which they're playing with kids their age. They're traveling. They're probably getting a lot of reps in practices and games. But with low numbers, I've talked to a ton of freshmen where, I say, if here are the pros and cons. If you decide to come and play for Staples, you're going to get to play varsity hockey for 4 years. Now, ice time during games is not guaranteed, right? Of course, but you're on the ice every day at practice with the varsity team, getting reps every single day. You're not sitting on the bench, right? So that's kind of where it's at. I would love, to get to the point where we have, I wouldn't love to make cuts, but like to the point where we can have 30, 35 kids trying out, and we can field a varsity team and a JV team.
Yep.
Right? That's kind of the goal. But we need to do a better job of reaching the youth and kind of getting kids to play for their high school here at Staples more.
So is it that they just, because hockey is huge. There's a huge following. It's all over the place. Is it because they're just sticking to a club because the college recruiting is at the club level? Is that what's going on?
Well, it depends. I think, and I've said this a bunch of times, I think the huge thing for a town like Westport is we don't have a rink in town, right? So these kids go to Wonderland. They go to Northford. They go to Darien. They go to different youth programs. Right now they're all spread out, so we are like trying to track them down and figure out where these Westport kids are playing so that we can talk to them and try to see if they want to play high school hockey. So I think that's the biggest thing, and that's something we have to get around because there's no rink in town, and it doesn't seem like there's going to be a rink in town ever or anytime soon, right? So one thing that we're going to try to do this year to at least start reaching the youth and showing them what Staples ice hockey program is all about is we're going to try to utilize the Longshore rink to run a couple youth clinics.
Yeah, because that's such a great spot.
Yeah, it's a great spot, and it's in town. And if we can have a couple, especially this winter, maybe put on 1 or 2 youth clinics, do some skills stuff, some small area games, get our coaches to come out, get the varsity hockey players to come out and work with the kids, and just start kind of meeting and getting to know the Westport hockey players better, and at least let them know how to get in contact with us, how to see what our program's all about, instead of us constantly trying to chase down, because you can go on to USA Hockey and we can see this is a Westport kid, this is a Westport kid, so let's reach out and talk to them. Reach out and talk to them. Sometimes though, kids, I've had several kids that I talked to this year who have already got in on like a tier 1 AAA team. And, so you hear a lot of different things from different coaches, and the route in hockey to get to the next level is a little different than other sports. So you get onto these tier 1 travel hockey teams, and you're traveling all around the country, and you're playing for states, you're playing for nationals, and you're getting looks from a lot of different coaches all over the country, colleges, junior teams. So it's kind of tough to compete with that sometimes, especially when we don't have a youth program where we can like build that up, like lacrosse, football, right? Coach Behrens knows that 5th grader who's playing, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly. Yeah. The feeding system is completely different. Now, it's interesting you mentioned Longshore because that outdoor rink there, it's almost like, what they do in beginning of years, right? It's playing outdoors, hockey outdoors. It's so rare.
Yeah.
And you'd think that would be attractive to at least do some of that, right? But who knows?
We used to. When I first started as an assistant coach, we did a couple outdoor games there against Norwalk. And it was super exciting, and the fans came out.
Sure.
I don't really know, we've tried. I don't know the details or like how it's set up there in terms of like, I do know that the ice is smaller. There's no lines on the ice.
Okay, I didn't realize.
So there are a lot of like kind of liabilities, and it's not like a great setup for games. So that maybe that's a reason why they don't really do it anymore. But I have parents ask me all the time. I've reached out. It just hasn't really worked for whatever reasons. But we're definitely going to try to get in there. And I've talked to some people already about, the ice time we're going to make it work this winter to
that's awesome.
Get a couple sessions and try to run a couple clinics.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was smaller. Now that they have lines, that could be challenging.
Yeah,
for sure, right?
And and there's the stands. There aren't really stands. So I mean, maybe that's something to think about in terms of like as a community. Maybe we could one day kind of work together to make that happen again. Because
I mean, I said, it would be like, think about having your home games outdoors, right?
Oh,
I mean, and like having a little stand there would be like amazing, right? I mean, listen, the ice is always going to be cold. You are the indoors, outdoors. You just dress for the weather and you go with it.
Right.
I always think about the games the hockey does on first of the year, those outdoor games, they can't miss.
They're incredible,
right? I mean, even if you're not the casual hockey fan, even will always go to watch that.
Absolutely,
like, man, that scene is amazing.
Yeah, the atmosphere is awesome.
But I mean, it's so great. And you mentioned, the path as it goes up, and we were talking the other day a little bit about college recruiting and how that's interesting with other sports. And it seems like hockey is going just like soccer is, and all those lacrosse sports where those camps almost become a little more important than high school, and that's a shame. I mean, it is a shame because there's nothing like playing for your high school.
There really is. That's kind of like the message I give to underclassmen. Because listen, Darien, New Canaan, all those top D1 hockey schools right now have similar situations. They just have more numbers, right? So they'll have kids that come in and are very good, and they'll play their freshman, sophomore years, right? And then they might go to a prep school, right, and play another 2 or 3 years at the prep school before they go play junior hockey, and then hopefully get a scholarship or get recruited to a college level sport. I mean, there are your freak athlete, true freshman hockey players, but the average age of a college Division I ice hockey player is not 18, right? So these kids are going to play 1 or 2 years of junior hockey in major junior leagues, usually, if they're going to go D1 before they're being going to the college level. And that even happens at the D3 level too, where kids are going to be usually a little older because of like Quinnipiac, who won the national title last year. Their average, I'm not sure what their average age, like I'm not going to say because I don't know for sure, but they're an older team where like some of the, higher caliber, if you want to say like Minnesota, Michigan, right? Their ages are a little lower because those kids, like Adam Fantilli, played for the University of Michigan this year. Phenomenal player, 18 years old. He left. He got drafted in the first round. Number 3 or top 3, I forget. 2 or 3 he got drafted. So he's playing for the Columbus Blue Jackets now. So those big programs like that will get these young kids who are phenomenal talents or who go through USA development program or are major junior players at a young age, and they'll have them for maybe a year or two. It's rare for those top end talents to stay for the full 4 years. Where at Quinnipiac, phenomenal school, phenomenal hockey program. The coach has done a phenomenal job bringing that program from the bottom to the top. But they're keeping kids for a longer time, and they have some men on that team, right? Like they have
some real men, right?
Some real men on that team,
not kids,
who are getting the job done. And you know what? That age difference, it can make a difference at that level, right? If you're 18, no matter how talented you are, if you're going against a 22-year-old or a 21-year-old, right? That can,
It's absolutely, and I always talk about that in high school, right? Think about, and that's why I asked, if you have a freshman who's 15, 16 playing against an 18-year-old boy that's a senior, the gap there is huge.
It's huge. It is.
And in physicality, in experience, and everything.
The physicality is the biggest part. But yes, the mentality and being able to have that confidence. So going back to my message to some of those underclassmen who want to go play on that tier 1 travel team, and they want to get to a prep school or they want to get to a junior team because they want to try to get to the next level, which I love. I say, come play for your high school, which you can't replace. There's nothing like it. Come play for your high school, your freshman, maybe your sophomore year. You're going to get time, right? You're going to get time on the ice. I'm not going to ask you to come play for me and then make you sit on the bench, right?
Yeah.
When you have other offers out there like that, right? You're going to get the opportunities. Nothing's guaranteed, right? But you're going to get the opportunities. And come play with bigger, faster, stronger guys, right? And see how you do against that talent, right? See how you do against that size. You're going to learn something from that. That's going to make you a better player, right? Instead of playing with guys your same age. Now, there are also pros to that where if you play with guys your same age at that tier 1 team, maybe they're all at the same talent level as you, right? Where at high school, we might not have all that top end talent. We might have some grinders, right? We're not going to have all this heavy skill, but you're going to have opportunities to go out there and see what you can do. And if you can put up points, if you can hang physically with these guys at the varsity level and you're 14 or 15 years old, that's going to look really good to some of these prep schools that you want to go to, or these tier 1 programs that you want to play to that you think are going to get you to that next level.
And it's also a test yourself. I mean, it's always you against yourself. Like, can I hang with these bigger guys? Yeah. Right? Can I do this? And I'll say this, and I know I play high school sports. We all here played. There's nothing like the feeling of walking the hallways after a big win, is there?
Nothing like it, man. Nothing like it.
There's nothing like it.
Even like my guys, like, they're wearing their shirt and ties. They got their game jackets on, and people were in the hallways chatting them up, right? Like, I mean, it's really a cool feeling. And I think that everybody should experience it at least 1 year.
Agreed.
So yeah, that's my kind of
couldn't agree more
pitch on high school hockey.
Yeah, no, listen, we're looking forward to a great season. We want to get out there and see you guys a lot, so this will be a lot of fun. Coach, I want to thank you for being here with us. It was a lot of fun. I do want to do some quick hits and some with some personal notes for you here. All right, sure. If we could? Go. All right, cool. All right, so morning person or night owl?
Morning person.
All right, texting or calling?
Calling.
Favorite Tom Hanks movie?
Ooh, man. I'm gonna get out of here and I'm gonna be like, oh, I should have said that one. I'm gonna go Saving Private Ryan.
All right. Roller coasters or bumper car rides?
Neither. I'm gonna go roller coasters.
All right. Beach or sightseeing?
Beach.
Sweet or salty?
Salty.
Pizza or burger then?
Pizza.
All right. What 5 people would you bring with you if you were stuck on a desert island?
Oh my gosh. Come on. Like anyone. All right. I'm bringing my wife.
All right.
I'm going to bring my 2 brothers.
All right.
I'm going to bring my assistant coach, Jill Gallagher. I'm not very good with blood or anything. So like if we need some kind, and she's a police detective in Milford.
That sounds like a great person to
I'm
bring.
Bringing her because I'm going to need her.
Yes.
She's phenomenal.
I like how you're thinking through this really fast. You are.
I'm trying. I don't want to take too long. Let's see. And then shoot, maybe should I bring somebody? No. Bring my mom.
Awesome. Would you rather spend 1 year at the North Pole or 2 years in the Sahara Desert?
Oh man, I'm gonna go North Pole. I'm like terrified of the desert.
There you go. What superpower do you wish you had?
Superpower. I always want to say flying, but I'm afraid of heights, so I don't think that would really work out. Being able to breathe underwater.
What is your spiciest opinion that everyone disagrees with?
That everyone disagrees with?
It's controversial at all.
Yeah. Man, let's see. Maybe getting rid of the shootout.
In hockey? How would you decide the games?
I would go with a little bit of a longer 3-on-3 overtime, or maybe even start it with like 4-on-4, and then after like a certain amount of time, go down to 3-on-3.
They do some kind of that in field hockey.
Oh, do they?
So we covered field hockey. The game. It was like I didn't realize this because I haven't so much in sport, and they play 11 on 11.
Okay.
So it's 10 and a goalie. So when they go in overtime, then it's 6 and a goalie.
Oh, okay.
And it opens up all the space. 3 minutes in, somebody scores.
Yeah, right. It opens up the space. Everybody's tired. It's more exciting. Like, I don't know. I think the shootout was exciting when it first came in, but like you can only do so many breakaway moves. Yeah. Like if we get down to like the 15th shooter, it's like, okay, like we get it. This goalie's good. He's making saves. Like it's not that exciting anymore. I don't think.
I totally agree. It's like me and with soccer and shootout. I'm a big soccer guy. I hate it. Yeah. I can't take it. And last one here. If you could go back and relive one day in your life, which day would that be?
Let's see. I'll keep it hockey. And when we won that national championship, that was it was awesome. And it wasn't anything like this state championship, like with club hockey sometimes, like, especially where we were, pretty much just parents in the stands. It's not like it was an insane, crazy atmosphere, but to go through the season and, the amount of times we failed in seasons before, and that was our senior year, and for the guys to just come together in the group we had and the work we put in, and then, to raise that trophy and drink out of that cup was an
amazing feeling, right?
Unbelievable day. Yeah.
And just to add to that, do you still keep in touch with a lot of the guys from that team? You guys have something, or maybe one or two?
A little bit.
Yeah.
It's tough being so far and coaching.
Yeah.
I always get the notices about the alumni games. They did like a cuz that was they did like a 10-year reunion for it, which I couldn't go to cuz we're in the middle of hockey up here and I just can't get away. We're not super connected, but when I do talk to those guys, it's it's the same stories. Like we never.
It's like you never
like
spent
we
time
never
apart.
left the hockey house, man.
I know.
So yeah,
it's amazing how guys can connect.
It
like
really
that, right?
is.
Yeah,
it's a special thing, right? And that's a bond we'll have forever. Just like this team for football had this year. Like you're always gonna be able to talk about everything that happened throughout that season. And it's funny how you talk about the championship game and winning the trophy, but it's funny how you talk about everything else and all the things that led up to that and kind of not only the process, but the ups and downs and the stories and the memories in the locker room. Those are the things that kind of stick with you the most. And yeah, it's special. Yeah.
100%. I remember when I played a couple years of football and it was like, we got great teams, but one thing that always sticks to my mind is that we would go early to the field. And at that time, they would order breadsticks from Domino's.
Oh,
right. And it's like, and we would nobody had any money, so we'd all would share. And it was like you'd get like half a breadstick, right? That's how much.
Yeah.
But that was like we all sat there and we divided it, and that was like those are amazing times.
Right.
Playing slapjacks and eating breadsticks. It was amazing.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, those small little moments are so special, and you try to get the kids to slow down sometimes, to say like, take this in, breathe it in, right? Come back to your breathing, ground yourself here, right? In this moment, be here now, right?
Realize that you are in the good old days before you actually leave them.
100%, man, 100%.
Coach, it was a pleasure having you here today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Honored to be here. And like I said, this is so special that you do this for the town and for the kids. Like we didn't have any of this growing up, and for you to be doing something like this, the kids are super appreciative, and I know the coaches and adults are as well. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Coach. It's been a pleasure. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, man.